Hello everyone, it's Josh. In this video, we're going to go through the Poll Everywhere site, and I'm going to show you how you can use Poll Everywhere to do some really cool surveys and review and classroom discussion opportunities. So we're going to start by taking a look at this demo poll that I've created. So I'm going to just click my polls, and it takes me here to kind of like my poll home screen, where all of my polls will be listed. I currently only have one made. It's the training poll demo. So I can click this and it will become active. The active poll that I'm looking at, not active as in it's live for people to respond. You actually have to activate the poll to publish your survey and making it available to people online. And so you can, when you activate it, you get this little URL that people can type into a web browser, and this is how they respond to your questions. And so what it will look like on their end after they type in the web URL, they'll get something that looks kind of like this. So they'll see the name of the survey or the Poll Everywhere poll, and it'll say how many questions there are, and they can start the survey. And so first question might be, welcome to today's session, where are you from? And so I would say, obviously, Fairmont, West Virginia. And of course, this is just a demo, so I can actually click a couple different places. But in the authentic version, then the person would then just click next and go to the next question. But maybe someone in another responder says, I live in Alaska. Another responder says, I live in Houston, Texas. Another person is in North Carolina, and so on. However many people can take your poll during your session. So they click next, and maybe the next question that you have that comes up during your presentation is about NASA missions. And so which of the following NASA missions is most memorable to you? And so this type of question is another type of click response, but this is more of a multiple choice using images. So I'm going to take a look at this and go, wow, these are like the mission patches for different missions. Which one is most memorable to me? Of course, some folks may not know what some of these missions are, and it would be a lot easier for them, but I'm going to pick Apollo 11. And I'm actually going to rank these. So Apollo 11 would be most memorable, and I guess I'd put Apollo 13 next. And this is the Artemis mission patch, which is taking place currently, so that's rather memorable for me as well. Maybe a bit more memorable than Apollo 13, even though that's a rather memorable thing for many people in our country. Then we've got, it says Grace here, so I know what that's doing. But I do recall the Landsat 7 mission a bit more. And so I can move those around and submit my response. And then I can click next to go to the next question. And so this question has a text with a photo in it. And again, it's another click in the photo as a way to respond, which is a really engaging way to ask a question to your audience. So the question is, which of the Australian Shepherd gang would you like to take for a walk? And then there's the photo credit. And so which one of these would I like to take for a walk? Oh, they're all so beautiful. This one with his tongue out. He looks like he has a really fun personality. So I'll pick that one. And so again, another opportunity here in the training mode where I can click maybe for another person. Oh no, it's not going to let me do that. Okay, so I'll click finish. And then at the end, your audience member is like, oh great, all done. And then if you want to see what that's like from your end when you're presenting, people don't necessarily need to take every survey question from beginning to end. It could be built into your presentation. And so you can ask them a question at a time, something. And so let's start. And so you would have folks answering your first question, right? And so you can click activate. And this would open up people, and it would show live responses. People would be putting them in as it's completed. Okay, and then when you get to the next question, they can respond to it by going to the particular website URL that's given there. So which of the following NASA missions is the most memorable to you? And so this ranks it based upon all of the responses from the folks that complete the survey. And I'm going through to click activate because I'm still in the training mode. So if somebody wants to actually complete my survey outside of my account, they can do that now that I've clicked activate. And so you can get a neat little heat map with some of these clicks. And if you click show regions, it'll tell you the number of people that clicked within that region. You can also lock things and like stop people from responding to the survey. You can clear all the responses on a particular question, so that way when you go to use it again, you'll have a fresh starting spot. And then of course, you probably want to present in full screen mode like this whenever you're presenting to your audience. So this is just one survey that I created. If I go back to polls, let's add an additional question to this demo poll. And so the demo poll options, I can convert to a group, which I've already got these grouped together. I can ungroup them, so that way if I don't want a particular audience like answering every question in my survey, like maybe if you're a teacher that starts out with like a daily bell ringer, or you have an end of the class discussion, maybe you just want one particular question to go with that URL at the time, and so you would probably want to ungroup it or leave it ungrouped for something like that, rather than having it in a set. Because if you put a whole set of bell ringers in one group, they're all going to be visible to the students, and they're not going to be able to complete the survey until they've gone through every question. And so let's just add a question. Let's create a new question rather than adding a question here. And so let's say I'm making a bell ringer, for example. And so when I click add question, I have these opportunities to get different types of questions. I can do multiple choice, word clouds, ranking of, do queuing in like a Q&A session where you rank like who wants to upvote a particular question, like if you have a live speaker and they can only answer a couple questions within the time limit. The clickable image, like I showed you before, you can do a full survey type question where you have like a scale from 1 to 5. You can do open-ended responses. You can do competitions. All of this is the free version that I'm showing you. Anything that you see that has like this kind of diamond pattern is something that you have to go to a premium version for. And so some of these questions may be that once I click on them, we'll have to see, but I'm pretty interested in the word cloud. So let's see if we can make a word cloud question. So title, visualize audience responses as a dynamic word. So I'm going to title this space as my question, because maybe I'm going to start off class with a discussion. Oh, I thought that was just a title, but actually it's the name of the question. So I need to go back to my polls and revise this, because that's not what I took that as. So I need to say, what word comes to mind when you think of space? Okay, and so click save. And then I've got that one particular question. Notice it's not grouped in the training demo. It's out here on its own. And so if I want to present this one, I could just click on it. I need to activate it for my folks, and then I'll go full screen. And so imagine me in my classroom, students come in and go, okay, everyone, you need to sign in and go to pollev.com/JoshRebels954, or you can text your answer into this question by texting Josh Rebels 954 in the message to this phone number, 37607, to join, and then you put your message in after it sends you a response saying that you're in the room. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with my cell phone. So I'm going to type in the number first, 37607. And then the message to join would be Josh Revels, which is the name. This is my profile name. So I'm sure you can change this by changing your profile name. And so I sent the message. It's responded with, you've joined Josh Revels' session. When you're done, reply leave. And so I'm going to now put my answer in. So what word comes to mind when you think of space? I'm going to put in galaxy. So I text galaxies, and you'll see that that word appears. And then we've also got a lot of kids in the class that are thinking, and so they may put in some of their own responses as well. And so based upon the number of responses that you get, uh, the words become bigger or smaller, right? And so there's the word cloud that was created from this little demonstration using everything that I submitted myself. So I put all those answers in, but you could see how that would be really neat to kind of do something with your students. And so I texted leave, and then it told me that I was out of the response. And so I'm just going to leave full screen. Uh, and so let's go back to polls. Let's check out another type of question format that I could try out. So I was really interested in that Q&A. So I want to create a Q&A question. And so participants respond to a question. And so you can upvote or downvote other answers. So maybe you want to ask, what's the difference between nuclear fusion and nuclear fission? And then your students could respond to this. And then, so I'll do it again to kind of demonstrate how this question might work. Have to put the message in. Okay, so now I'm in, and so what's the difference between, and so I could say splitting atoms is, or splitting is fission, combining is fusion. Could be my response, and then I'm just gonna put a test response in, and this is, oh, okay, and so I've done something incorrect here in my question because it's not letting me answer like that. So I'm going to go back to my polls and kind of see how this works. Oh, I needed to click edit. I want to edit this question. And so okay, so over here on the side, we've got configure test present. So how can people respond? Of course, you already know that they go to the website. Audience restrictions, you can set it so that there are no restrictions, or you can restrict certain people from answering, but you have to upgrade for that. How do you want to identify participants with their screen name? If you want it to be completely anonymous, there's a warning statement about that because you'll never be able to change it back, and you'll never know who responded what, which I could see becoming a problem with students that are trying to be funny in class. You can limit the number of responses that people have on the question, and you can do some moderation, which has to do with like profanity, and make sure that some of those responses don't get put in. And then test, what's the difference between, so this is kind of, the test is going to show me ahead of time what it kind of looks like. And so maybe I want to identify this as a new thing, or move it to the top. It still says it's waiting for responses. So enter response. I'm just going to test this. Okay, it says I've responded once, all caught up. I am not familiar here with, okay, so we're liking or disliking someone's response. Hi. Um, so let's see, fission is splitting. See if that'll let me submit. Okay, great. So we got a new question or a new response here, and I could say that fusion is combining. Okay, it looks like there's some voting that you can do. So people can vote whether they like or downvote it. Let's see what happens when we go to how to present. So you ask an audience a question, then watches the activity automatically updates with the audience responses. So I wonder if I can see that now. Never made a Q&A question before. Okay, so not sure why it didn't work through my text message response. I must need to do this one only on the website. Yeah, so this isn't one that you can use on your cell phone. So you got to be careful about that whenever you're creating your own polls too. So if I want to view this, I could purposely put in some false responses maybe to a question so kids can vote down. No, I don't think it's that. Or yeah, you can vote things up to the top if you think it's that. Okay, that's kind of neat. Um, let's go back and look at some more question types. Maybe I want to group this with another thing. So I can click here and this, and I can group them together. But before I do that, let me show you what I mean by the difference between grouping and ungrouping. So notice here, when I click next to go to the next question, that'll work. I can't show you that on this because of the training mode. But basically, this question would be the end. So whenever someone was trying to move on the website on the user end, they wouldn't be able to go to that next question because it wouldn't be available to them at this time. So when you group them, it could be something you could like make a survey where people could complete it for a homework assignment, where they have a certain number of questions they need to complete, rather than just one particular question. And so you can group things. And you can call it the new thing. So I can call it homework survey 1. And then it falls within this group here. So all of these things are going to be in a group, and I can assign particular questions, or I can convert it to a survey, which was how it was to begin with. Or no, sorry, that's not how it was. So now it's a full survey like this first one. So I'm going to go ahead and click ungroup on this. I don't have a need to. There we go, convert to group. And I'm going to actually ungroup them as well. So there's a lot of flexibility in here in how you can deliver this. And so let's add a new question to this particular group that's already, or survey that's been created. So I want to add the emotional scale question. So how are you feeling today? Click anywhere on the image is another one. So that one's pretty simple. And since I've clicked add activities, I can add a different activity. That one confirmed that it went through. So this donut chart seems interesting. Which region has the greatest market share? And so apparently this is like a pie chart type of question. I click create just to see what this would look like. So based on the responses, a bigger part of the donut would be completed. Okay, and you can see how both that and the other question was added to this survey. Okay, so website is pretty easy to manipulate. This is probably the hardest page to get comfortable with, making surveys in groups. But if you get lost and you just want to come back to this page, all you have to do is click polls and it will take you here. I showed you how to do surveys in groups. So if I have a particular set of questions that have something in common, I would group them. And if I wanted students like to complete every single question within the group, I would convert it into a survey. And so rather than doing like an individual question, I can do like survey questions. And remember, there are tips in there. Like you notice I struggled with some of the questions that were new to me, like this question formats. Whenever you create like an individual question, you can always check it out by using the options over here on this right side. So if I want to open, like I just created this question. So if I go back to polls and I want to like pull the question up, that I made here. So what are your best ideas is the one. If I click edit on this question, I can come back and see like how it's configured, I can test it out like I showed you earlier. So here you're going to have to go on the website to answer this question using that URL. I can do all those restrictions and I can see what it's going to be like. So I haven't activated this. So let me go back to question or the polls and I can activate this question so that I can test it out. Activate. Oh, okay. So here we go. Test. What are your best ideas? You can vote on the ideas submitted. And so my good idea is we should find a way to get more sunlight in the room. That would be maybe my first idea. And I click submit. And then I guess like the Q&A upvote, really the brainstorm is kind of the same format. If someone else likes my idea, they can click like. This might be a really cool way to get your students thinking about coming up with questions on a science project. Like what parameters in this engineering design challenge can they have? Like what constraints they have to think about? What ideas do they have? And then they can use this brainstorming tool to kind of come up with a solution that they can implement. Okay, so other site features. Oh, by the way, something else I want to show you is you can easily duplicate a question. So if you've spent some time like making a particular question, like I have which of the following NASA missions was most memorable to you. It took me some time to put those images in there. So maybe I want to duplicate that and reuse those images. It becomes duplicated and it brought it down here. Maybe I don't want it in here, so I can check it and ungroup it. And I've lost it. Let me refresh. Okay, so it didn't ungroup it when I did that. So yes, you'll see it. This is the most confusing part of using Pull Everywhere, is just trying to get it in the format that you want it. But it comes with practice. As you get better at it, you'll know exactly what it is that you want to do. And so you can duplicate questions very easily and change them. Maybe I want to change the question to put the NASA mission patches in order or in sequential order, right? And then I have a whole new question that I can use because it was a lot faster to make. Okay, so other site features. You can download the app and embed your polls into like presentations and things. And so there is a Poll Everywhere app that you can use. And you can also invite teammates. So that's part of like the Teams type of thing. And so let's take a look at the upgrades. And so this is the breakdown of what you'll get and what account that you have. And so you can do K-12 plans. And so you can do the K through 12 free version, which gives you 40 responses per poll. Okay, and so the reason if I want to change my username from Josh Rebels 954, I have to at least go to the premium version to do that. If I want to put things into PowerPoint presentations, embed them directly, I get that in the free version. Full screen web presentations, I can do many question types. That pop-up things get in my way. Okay, different types of question types on all versions. The difference here is that if you're using this with like school-wide version, you're going to want to use the school-wide license agreement basically from the premium. So the premium version are things that you are just going to make and use like within your classroom. So the amount of support and type of support also depends on what type of version that you purchase. Competitions are free for all accounts. Share polls among professors are free. There are some reporting features. The moderation features that I showed you earlier. Those are only a premium version. Automatic censoring is a premium version. Okay, and so reports are here, and so you can kind of see what type of report you'll get here. You get an executive summary, you get a pivot table, participant response history, and you can also have a grade book in your reports if you like make a quiz using the poll questions, like daily quizzes or bell ringers. And then also participants, just kind of like with Kahoot. If you looked at the Kahoot video, you can identify your audience here and like what they responded with. Here it shows a leaderboard. So it's almost like they've made a game version here with this. And then Teams is the last icon on the ribbon. So if you want to have virtual meetings, capture insights, you can send these polls out virtually and use them in your virtual meetings. With online collaboration, folks can join into one particular account or a particular poll from their account and help contribute to that shared poll. Okay, and so that's kind of the nutshell of Poll Everywhere. There are more things that we could probably talk about and get into, but that pretty much sums it up. So I hope that you guys can really maximize this website and use it as a tool moving forward.